children. Once again, I welcome you all for this online class. And today we are moving into a new lesson in history, lesson 2, part 1. And the title of our lesson is Great Thinkers and New Faiths. In this lesson, we are focusing upon the time period of 6th century BC. So last class we studied about the Vedic age, that is from time period of 1500 to 600 BC. So the Vedic age started in 1500 BC and it ended in 600 BC, and we are now continuing with the ending period. Okay, so we call that 600 BC as from 600 to 500 BC we call 6th century BC. So this particular time, this century is regarded as important period in the ancient history because it is the landmark of intellectual and spiritual development in India. Okay, so during this period, there is a progress in intellectual. Intellect means thinking. So during this period, man started to think, use his knowledge, and made some decisions. And also, spiritual development progressed. Spiritual means uh, faith in God. So during this period, man's knowledge increased and he started to think and make decision, and also his faith in God increased. So the historian Will Durant, he called this period as showers of stars. That is like how stars fall from sky into the ground. Uh, Knowledge also flowed down from high into the brain of human beings. Okay, source. So what is the important source of this period? Okay, so there is no uh, material evidences regarding this period. We have literary source, that is written records. Two written records. One is Angas, that is the Jain text. Then another one is Triptikas and Jatakas. Tripitakas and Jatakas of Buddhist text. These are the two important sources about this period. Okay. Now let's move on to the next topic: causes for the rise of intellectual awakening and the birth of Buddhism and Jainism. So we are going to study about the reasons why man started to think, and how two new religions, Buddhism and Jainism, were formed. Okay, so this is the decline or end of the Vedic period. Okay, so during Vedic period there was complex rituals and sacrifices advocated in the later Vedic period. So during the later Vedic period there was complex rituals. Complex means a huge number of confused rituals and sacrifices. So these types of confusion in the later Vedic period made man to think. Okay, made man to get confused and think about new things. And also the sacrificial ceremonies were too much expensive. Okay, so the Vedic, during the Vedic age, the Hindu religion enforced expensive sacrifices, which made people to get disturbed about that. And superstitious beliefs and practices that confused common man. So during this period, during the Vedic age, there were lot of superstitious beliefs were practiced, and it confused the common man. See, for example, If a cat uh, if a cat moves in our way, when you walk in the road, any cat passes through the way, the person should never continue his journey. They will go back to house, have a cup of water, then they will stay there for 10 minutes or 1 hour. Sometimes the whole day they will never come out of their house. These are some of the superstitious beliefs. It confused the common man. Okay, so uh, Upanishads were introduced. Okay, so in place of sacrificial rites, Upanishads were introduced. So if you don't want to make sacrifices, you can follow Upanishads. But the Upanishads, they were too philosophical. They were they were not understood by common people. Okay, and finally, slavery, caste system, gender discrimination also contributed to the new awakening. So, in the Hindu Vedic age, there were slavery. They made discrimination. Okay, they showed partiality to the lower level people. They considered them as slaves. Okay, and also caste system came into existence. Gender discrimination, they gave less priority to women in the society. So all these are the reasons for man to start thinking about new faith, and new religions came into existence, which declined the Vedic age. Okay, that ended the Vedic age. Okay, now we are going to study about the origin of a new religion called Jainism. Okay, so Jainism is one of the world's oldest living religions. Living religions means they are still in existence even now. So, it is one of the oldest religions in the world. And Jainism grounds itself in 24 Tirthankaras. Okay, so in Jainism there are 24 Tirthankaras, and based upon these Tirthankaras, it has its faith. Okay, Tirthankaras means we call them prophets, like prophets, isn't it? Representatives of God. So in Jainism, we call these representatives as Tirthankaras, the one who collects the message from God, and he will deliver to the common people. So a Tirthankara is the one who revealed religious truth at different times. So at different times, these 24 Tirthankaras, they they revealed the word of God to the local people. The first Tirthankara was Rishabha. Rishabha was the first Tirthankara, and the 24th last Tirthankara was Mahavira. So Jainism gained prominence under the aegis of Mahavira during the 6th century BC. So it gained importance during the time of Mahavira in the 6th century BC. So now we are going to study about Mahavira. Okay. So his original name is Vardhamana. Mahavira's original name is Vardhamana. Later on it was changed to Mahavira. And the place of his birth was Kundagrama near Vaishali in Bihar. So he was born in Bihar. His parents were Siddhartha and Trishala, and his place of death was Pavapuri in Bihar. So he was born in Bihar and died also in Bihar. So Vardhamana means prosperous. He was a Kshatriya prince. So basically he was a Hindu. Okay, he belonged to the Kshatriya, that is a noble family. Okay, he belonged to a noble family. But at the age of 20, he renounced his priestly status. That is, he denied. He came out of his princely status to adopt an ascetic life. Ascetic means like monk. Okay, leaving everything and living a simple life, that is called ascetic. Okay, um, leaving all the possessions and having a very simple form of life. And he undertook intense meditation. Intense means high, uh, huge, high number of meditations. Okay, so he did meditation for 12 and a half years. Okay, he did a rigorous penance. Penance means meditation. Okay, meditation. And he attained supreme knowledge, that is called kevala. Kevala is the supreme knowledge. We call it omniscient. Omniscient means getting knowledge of everything. And thereafter he became Jaina. Jaina means one who conquered worldly pleasure and attachment. Okay, so human beings are attached to the worldly pleasure, but Jaina is one who conquered worldly pleasure. They were not subjected to worldly pleasure and attachment. So the followers of Mahavira are called Jains. Okay, since he attained the level of Jaina, his followers are called Jains. Okay, he reviewed the ancient dramatic traditions and came up with the new doctrines. So he formulated new set of doctrines, and he asked his followers to follow those traditions, and therefore he is the founder of the Jainism. So Mahavira is the founder of the new religion called Jainism. So unique teachings of Jainism. So what are the uh, teachings of Jainism? We are going to study one by one. Jainism denies God as the creator of the universe. So Jainism believes God did not create the universe. Okay, and the basic philosophy of Jainism is ahimsa or non-violence. That is, we should not have use force. We should not use violence. Okay, we should not hurt anybody. So this is the basic philosophy of Jainism. Ultimate aim of Jainism is attaining moksha, of ending the cycle of birth, death and rebirth. Ultimate means final. So what is the final aim of Jainism? Is to attain moksha. Moksha means ending the life cycle. Actually in Jainism it is believed that when a man borns, after he dies, again he reborns in any form of life. That is, he could become an animal or plant or any bird, anything he could transform. So life cycle continues, keep on continues. Okay, so the end of the life cycle is called moksha. When a life, okay, when a being ends the life cycle, we call it moksha. So Jainism rejects the belief in last judgment, where God, a supreme being, decides who goes to hell or heaven. So Jainism never believes in judgment. So in other religions, Christianity, Hinduism, they believe in judgment. If you live a faithful life, God will send you to heaven. If you live a sinful life, you will be put in hell. So this is the judgment. But Jainism, they denies the system of judgment. Okay, when you born, if you live a sinful life, in the next birth you will be you will born as a lower form of life, maybe some animal, or you will suffer a lot in your next birth. If you live a good life, in the next birth you will become a rich person, or you will lead a happy life. Jainism advocates that goodness or quality of one's life is determined by one's karma. So karma is the action you perform in your life, good or bad. Everything, every action you performs in your life becomes karma. So, the quality of your life is based upon the karma. That is what, if you live a good life, in the next birth you will become a rich and happy person. If you live a sinful life, you will become a lower form of life in the next birth. So the next topic is Tri Ratnas or three jewels. That is three important um, beliefs in the Jainism. Okay, so threefold path for attaining moksha, that is liberation from karma. So if you want to break your life cycle, if you want to end your life cycle, you must follow three important points, that is right faith, right knowledge and right action. First you have to have the right faith, right decisions. Okay, then you should have the right knowledge, and also you must do what is right, right action. Okay, Jain code of contact. Okay, that is the how you must follow the rules. What are the important rules you must follow if you are a Jain? Okay, so Mahavira asked his followers to lead a virtuous life. Okay, that is moral, good moral life we call virtue. Okay, so he asked his followers to have a good moral life, and five major principles are asked to followed by the people who follow Jainism. First one is ahimsa, that is not to injure any living beings, not only human beings. You should not injure even a small ant. Okay, satya, satya means you must speak only the truth, you should not speak the lie. Then Astaya. Astaya means should not steal anybody's possessions. Aparigraha, that means you should not own any property. You should not have any house or any land in your name. And finally, Brahmacharya, that is celibacy, living a idle life. Okay, without company of anybody, you must live a separated life. That is called Brahmacharya. So these are the five important principles of Jainism. So there are two divisions in Jainism, two sects, that is two divisions in Jainism. One is Digambaras and the other one is Svetambaras. Okay, these are the two groups in Jainism. Okay, so what the Digambaras says we are going to study now. So Digambaras are orthodox and conservative followers, that is they are very strict. Digambaras are very strict. They follow each and every rule step by step in a strict manner, and they are also conservative followers. They were very much strict in their worship. Okay, so monks of Digambara sect do not wear any cloth and live naked. Okay, so even the monks means those who left everything and live a simple life, we call them monk. Okay, so even these monks, they never wear clothes. Okay, they live in a naked body. Okay, and they are forbidden to have any kind of possessions. Even you should not carry any possession. A plate is also a possession. So these people, they even never carry a plate, and also they even never wear a chapel also. Digambara believe that women cannot achieve nirvana or liberation directly. Okay, so according to Digambaras, women cannot attain moksha. So if they want to attain moksha, they must go to the next life, or they must do some special uh, rituals to attain the moksha, end the life cycle. The next group is Svetambaras. So the Svetambaras are considered progressive. Progressive means they kept on changing. Digambaras, they never change. They follow the rules very strictly, but Svetambaras, they kept on changing. So monks of Svetambaras wear white robes. We saw Digambaras, they never wear robes, isn't it? Dress, okay. But here they wear white robes, and also they were permitted to have Rajohara. Rajohara means a broom with wooden threads, okay. So they use this Rajohara to sweep the road they walk, because in the road there may be small micro lives, so you may mistakenly step on them and kill them. So what they do, they will use this broom to um, chase away those living beings, so that they may not tread upon them. They may have begging bowl and a book. In Digambaras we saw they never hold anything. But here they can have two things. They can have a begging bowl to beg food from others and eat. And also they can carry one book, okay, religious book. And also, Svetambaras believe that women are equally capable of achieving liberation as men. So, Digambaras, they never believed in women attaining moksha. But here, Svetambaras, they believe in women has equal capacity to attain moksha like men. So, what are the reasons for the spread of Jainism? So, during the 6th century BC, Jainism spreaded throughout India. So, we are going to see what are the reason it spreaded very fast. First one is use of people's language. See, for example, Hinduism followed Sanskrit language, which is not the language of people. It is a different language. But Jainism, they followed the local language of people. So because people knows this language, it spreaded very fast. Intelligible teachings. So next one is, we saw the Vedic age, they taught many superstitious teachings. Okay. Um, there is no reason for them to follow. But here in Jainism, all the teachings have reasons. So it became intelligible, so that people can accept them very easily. And Jainism was supported by rulers and traders. So the kings, rulers, and traders who travel to different areas, they supported Jainism because it is very easy to follow. It is very reasonable to follow. And the final reason is perseverance of Jain monks. That is, they can tolerate any form of life, any problem they can tolerate. So the people who look at these people, they get inspired by these Jain monks, and they also wanted to have this religion in their life. Okay, so the final topic is influence of Jainism in Tamil Nadu. So, how this religion affects Tamil Nadu, we are going to study. So, in ancient literature, Jainism is referred to as Samanam. Okay, so in ancient literary books of Tamil, Jainism is referred as Samanam. So there is a hill named Samanar Hill in Kuilkudi village. So there is a village in Madurai district, 15 kilometers away from Madurai. The name of the village is Kuilkudi. Okay. So in this village, there are images of Tirthankaras created by Jain monks. We saw 24 Tirthankaras, isn't it? So there were images of these Tirthankaras created by the Jain monks. Okay, and this hill is protected by the ASI as an monument. Okay, what is ASI? That is Archaeological Survey of India. So there is another village named Aritampatti, which is 25 kilometers away from Madurai. So in there is a hill named Kanjamalai. So in that hill, there are many Jain caves which is called Pandavar Padukai, that is the bed of Jain saints. Okay, so in this hill there are many caves. Okay, and in the caves the monks lived. And also there is a book written called Aravar Palli. Oh, sorry, uh, there is a place called Aravar Palli where Jain monks lived. And the informations about this Aravar Palli is in a literary book called Manimegalai. And according to Silappadigaram is a Tamil literary book, isn't it? And in Silappadigaram, there is the story of Kannagi and Kovalan. So in Silappadigaram, there is an information about a female Jain monk named Gaunti Adigal. So this female monk, Gaunti Adigal, she blessed Kannagi and Kovalan and she accompanied them. She came along with them. Okay, and there are some important places where Jain monasteries were built. Okay, monasteries means like hostels. Okay, so some of the places were Puhar, Urayur, Kanchi, Madurai, Vanchi. These are five important places in Tamil Nadu where Jain monasteries were built. And there is a village in Kanchipuram district which is named as Tiruparthi Kundram. It had two ancient Jain temples, and the village is also called as Jaina Kanchi because it had two ancient temples. Okay, so Jainism is completed. So in the next class we'll study about the Buddhism.